Hi, it's Paul from Balance Your Life. Peter was a regular 13-year-old boy living in a suburban neighborhood, navigating the challenges of adolescence like any other teenager. One day, driven by curiosity and the desire to fit in, he decided to try cannabis for the first time. Maybe the choice he made had to do with his difficulty in studying and recent poor academic performance, as well as his long-standing social anxiety and feeling awkward in conversations. Little did he know that this decision would set off a chain of events that would have both immediate and long-term consequences on his developing brain, as well as his future academic success and livelihood. Over the past 40 years, teens' reasons for using marijuana have shifted. Social and recreational motivations like boredom, feeling good, experimenting, and fitting in have become less common. Interestingly, the desire to have a good time with friends stayed consistent. On the other hand, reasons related to coping with negative emotions like anger, escaping problems, relaxation, and simply getting through the day have roughly doubled, suggesting a potential change in why some teens start using marijuana. Peter's parents, like most other parents, were too occupied with life and consumed by their own personal challenges to notice the change in their child's behavior. Peter's journey started with that initial inhale. Part 1. The first 30 seconds. As Peter took his first inhale, THC passes from his lungs into the bloodstream. It is then carried by the blood to the brain and acts on specific cannabinoid receptors. These receptors are associated with concentration, thinking, time perception, memory, and sensory pleasure. Within 30 seconds, he began to feel the initial effects, a sense of relaxation and euphoria. The THC interacted with his brain's receptors, particularly affecting the limbic system, responsible for emotions, and the prefrontal cortex, crucial for judgment. Part 2. 2 hours after the first inhale. The initial euphoria began to fade, and Peter experienced a shift in his cognitive functions. The THC, still present in his system, affected his working memory, processing speed, and overall cognitive function. His decision-making was influenced as the prefrontal cortex continued to be under the influence of cannabis. Peter, feeling a little more talkative and less introverted, decided to spend time with his new friends after school. A great many teens are more open to engage in risky behaviors, as cannabis has an impact on the limbic system, which matures earlier in teens. The limbic system plays an important role in processing and regulating emotions, motivation and reward seeking, social bonding and attachment, as well as memory formation and retrieval. Peter and his parents would have benefited a great deal if they had known the following important facts about cannabis, that is available on any social media platform. Fact 1. Endocannabinoids are like your brain's built-in volume control system. They're natural molecules produced by your body that interact with the endocannabinoid system, ECS, a complex network of receptors and messengers throughout your body. This system helps regulate various functions like memory, mood, appetite, and pain. Think of it like this. Your neurons, the wires carrying messages in your brain. Neurotransmitters, the signals traveling through those wires. Endocannabinoids, the volume knobs fine-tuning how strong those signals are. When everything works harmoniously, your brain functions smoothly. However, marijuana's main psychoactive ingredient, THC, can disrupt this balance. THC mimics anandamide, which is a natural endocannabinoid found in the human brain. But THC is much stronger and longer-lasting than this naturally produced endocannabinoid. Imagine cranking the volume way up. It can overwhelm the emotional system. The brain adapts by turning down some endocannabinoid system receptors, like permanently lowering the volume. Here's how repeated marijuana use might affect this sensitive system. Overstimulation. Think of THC as pushing the volume knob way up. This intense and prolonged activation can overwhelm the system. Adaptation. The brain tries to adjust by turning down some ECS receptors, like lowering the volume permanently. This can lead to a cannabinoid deficiency, meaning the body's natural anandamide might not be as effective anymore. Potential consequences. This altered system might affect the development of important brain connections, especially during youth when the brain is rapidly changing. This could impact functions like learning, memory, and emotional regulation. Fact 2. Quitting marijuana, especially for regular users, can throw your sleep for a loop. Up to 76% of cannabis users experience issues like insomnia, restless nights, and lighter sleep. While concerning, these are usually temporary, lasting weeks or months. The culprit? THC's interaction with our natural sleep regulator, the endocannabinoid system. When we stop, this system gets thrown off balance, leading to sleep disturbances. Think of it like hitting the brakes on a roller coaster. Things might get bumpy before smoothing out. Vivid dreams can also pop up as our REM sleep bounces back after being suppressed by THC. Remember, individual factors like brain chemistry, dosage, and duration of use can affect how severely you experience these sleep changes. Though challenging, these are temporary hurdles on your journey towards quitting. Fact 3. Teenagers' brains are undergoing extensive development, particularly in areas like the prefrontal cortex, responsible for judgment, planning, and decision-making. Around age 12, brain cells connections start to undergo pruning based on the use it or lose it principle. Connections that are not used are pruned away. Cannabis use can interfere with this critical development, potentially impacting these crucial skills. The prefrontal cortex, crucial for long-term thinking, is still developing in teenagers and is more susceptible to marijuana's effects. It takes about 25 years for the human brain to fully develop. One study followed 13-year-olds for 25 years and found that those who regularly consume marijuana lose 5.8 IQ points by the time they reach adulthood. The main psychoactive component of cannabis, THC, interacts with the brain's endocannabinoid system, which plays a role in various functions like memory, learning, and reward processing. This interaction can disrupt normal brain development and function. Studies suggest regular cannabis use during adolescence can negatively impact memory and learning. Cannabis use can blur the pathways, making it harder to retain information and make connections. A further study has indicated a greater extent of specific learning disorders in a group of chronic users. There is also a heightened presence of ASD, autism spectrum disorder, in adolescents who chronically use cannabis. In general, THC is associated with lower performance of working memory, perceptual reasoning, and processing speed. The limbic system, responsible for emotions, matures earlier in the brain. Cannabis use can trigger emotional imbalances, leading to anxiety, depression, or even psychosis in some cases. The hippocampus, essential for learning and memory, can be negatively impacted by marijuana use, hindering its full potential. Fact 4. Today's more potent marijuana increases potential risks. You never really know what strain you are smoking or what the concentration of THC is. Individuals with a genetic predisposition to mental health issues may be more vulnerable to marijuana's negative effects. Strong evidence suggests a connection between marijuana use and psychotic disorders like schizophrenia. The association between cannabis use and depression may be stronger among men during adolescence and emerging adulthood and stronger in women during midlife. A recent study by University of Maryland found that widespread cannabis use, increased potency linked to cannabis-related psychiatric conditions. A 1987 study between cannabis and schizophrenia looked at 45,000 Swedish conscripts who used cannabis more than 50 times before the age of 19. Results indicate that these individuals were 6 times more at risk to develop schizophrenia. A 2002 study by psychiatrist Robin Murray at King's College has indicated that starting cannabis use by the age of 15 elevated the risk of developing schizophrenia fourfold. Let's continue with Peter's journey. Part 3. 1 month later. As Peter continued to experiment with cannabis over the month, his sleep patterns started to change. Peter had also increased his cannabis use from once a week to 3 to 4 times a week. THC started having an impact on his hippocampus, which is essential for learning and memory. After a while, Peter's academic performance declined even further. He found himself feeling moodier and more irritable, struggling with negative emotions. Coping with these emotions by using more cannabis use increased his risk of dependence and addiction, further affecting his mental health. Part 4. 3 months later. Peter's parents and teachers noticed a decline in his academic performance and changes in behavior. Concerned about his well-being, they encouraged him to seek guidance from a school counselor. Despite attempts to cut back on cannabis use, Peter continued to face challenges. The increasing THC exposure had led to changes in his brain cell connections, impacting areas like the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. The school counselor recommended that he see a trained addiction therapist, as the sleep disturbances and mood changes was affecting his relationship with his family and friends. Part 5. 6 months later. Recognizing the severity of the situation, Peter decided to consult a healthcare professional with the assistance of his parents. The healthcare professional explained that the potency of today's marijuana increased potential risks, and the strain differences between sativa and indica could have varying effects on the developing brain. Peter's genetic predisposition to mental health issues made him more vulnerable to the negative effects of cannabis. The healthcare professional worked with Peter to develop a personalized plan to address his sleep disturbances, mood changes, academic challenges, and the reasons why he started using cannabis in the first place. Part 6. 1 year later. Peter, now equipped with knowledge about the impact of cannabis on the developing brain, had a greater understanding on why his life was slowly falling apart. Over the next few weeks, he managed to successfully navigate the challenges of overcoming cannabis dependence and addiction. His academic performance gradually improved, and with professional support, he regained a sense of balance in his life. In the end, Peter's resilience, combined with the support of his loved ones and healthcare professionals, paved the way for a brighter future. His personal experience and journey highlighted the importance of early intervention, education, and the potential for recovery even after the initial experimentation with cannabis. In ending, Peter discovered an important piece of information that he shared with others. THC is stored within fatty tissue and can be detected up to 80 days after use. Small bits of the molecule get released into the bloodstream and can cause mental and physical restimulation and craving. Thank you for listening. See you soon.